everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Maui Yap. Sultan of Sando, Maui Yap. The Sultan of Sando, Gab Lim, and Mr. Maui Yap. Sorry guys, nalilito na ako kasi 3 araw na lang UAAP na ulit. UAAP season na. Excited na ba kayo, Gab and Maui?
Yes! Let's go! Let's go! I can't wait for this weekend. Kahit one game run lang yung mapapanood ko or two, I'm so excited.
At dahil doon, we are going to do a preview of the opening weekend games today. All 4 games, all 8 teams, we're going to talk about it today. Anything you want to add before we get started, Gab?
See you there at the games. Don't forget to say hi. All 3 of us will be present. All 3 of us
for
will
Saturday.
Be present.
Yes. At the very least, sure, sa Saturday. Yes. So,
yes.
dun sa mga manonood ng games.
Sunday we'll see.
Dun sa manonood ng games on Saturday at QPAV, see you there. Okay, let's get started. Siguro, big question muna, no? What are you most excited about this UAAP Season 88?
An upset. Ako, I've been very vocal about, not just having 2 teams, battle it out each and every season. So, despite me predicting that it's still gonna be a UP Lasalle finals, I hope we get a team that rises from the ashes and then suddenly makes the finals against a UP or Lasalle. Heck, maybe UP or Lasalle don't make it to the finals. Diba? So, I'm very much nag-aabang for a team, whether it be the Adamson Falcons, the Ateneo Blue Eagles, the USC Growling Tigers, the NU Bulldogs, whoever, to challenge the top 2, the perennial top 2 of the UAAP. So, I'm excited for that. I hope we get some wild games. The UAAP has always delivered the wild game. So, I hope we get a 0.3 second tip in just like last season from Josh Royero. Or a double pump. Or a double pump turn around off the glass shot like Welo Lingo did.
Lingo.
So I do want to see those games.
I think yung maganda dun sa sinabi mo is last season yung mga surprising games or some of the exciting games that we saw weren't like the teams that we were expecting, diba? I think for me, one of the things I'm most looking forward to is like the biggest surprise. What's going to be the biggest surprise? I think nung first round, UE was the biggest surprise in a good way. We were all excited. We had to do an emergency podcast by the end of the first round. Nung second round, I would say UE was also a big surprise because they just crashed, went all the way down. We even, I think, said na they could fight for a number 2 spot by the end of the first round. And then we know what happened in second round. So I'm looking forward to like a team that can surprise us. And I think based dun sa mga preseason coverages that we've done, marami tayong pwedeng pag-usapan na parang team that can surprise this season. I think that's why parang related to what you said, Gab. Like, you're looking for an upset. Maui?
Ako, di na ako magiging diplomatic, magiging homer na ako. What I'm excited about the most is season 88. Disclaimer pa eh.
Diretso na, rekta na.
Diretso na, rekta na.
Di pa nagsastart UAAP niya na.
Di pa nagsastart UAAP, but what I'm most excited is to see Ateneo back. Not as a championship contender, but as a team I want to watch. A team that I believed could win games, di ba? Hindi yung basta makadikit, bahala na. I want to see a team that's competing. I want to see a team that's gelling. I want to see this young team finally progressing for this season so that we can potentially see a good Ateneo team again in the future. Maybe they surprise us this year. Grabe yung off-season hype with Ateneo despite not even, despite probably being the team that we've seen least. A lot of people are saying that, I think it's still crazy that people are saying that Ateneo is going to the finals. Even coming from me, I think that's crazy, but who knows? Who knows what might happen? Remember, this still Coach Tab, and we have the talent, I think, to compete this season. So let's see how the one and dones and the young guns gel, and hopefully we see Ateneo competing, not just to get some wins, but to get to the Final Four or even better.
Okay, speaking of Ateneo, they will have a game against FEU on Saturday. That would be the very first game of season 88. After that, it's going to be Lasalle versus Adamson. I'm just doing a recap. In the afternoon, and then on Sunday it's UP versus UST and UE versus NU. So dun sa 4 games na yon, siguro let's talk about key matchups. Gab, let's start with you. Any key matchup that you're looking forward to? It could be team versus team or like a player versus player type of matchup.
Well, I'm going to the first game, Ateneo versus FEU. So I'm looking for the Divine Adili versus Mo Konate matchup. Now, we've seen Divine Adili. A lot of hype was put on Divine Adili. We've talked about Divine Adili for months now. Some people are comparing him to Ange Kwame, the next Ange Kwame. We've put some breaks on that. No, he's not that. Team manager Epok Kimpo has said the same. He's not that. He's a old school big, likes to play in the paint, back to the basket. But this is a really good test because he's going up against Mo Konate, who I believe is the best FSA for now in the UAAP. I don't think that's a stretch that he is the best FSA. I think he's the second best center next to Mike Phillips. And I want to see how Divine Adili competes against Mo Konate. Diba? Is he gonna get into foul trouble? Is he gonna have trouble scoring in the paint? He's smaller than Mo Konate. Is he gonna grab enough rebounds? Is he gonna struggle defensively? How is he gonna defend the pick and roll? So I'm looking for that, and it's a good test for Divine Adili to go up against a Mo Konate because Mo Konate is probably gonna play the entire game or probably near the entire game. So yun, I think all Ateneo fans are gonna have their eyes on Divine Adili and how he performs against the likes of a Mo Konate.
Yeah. Sorry, nawala ako. Nawala internet ko. I think masyadong excited yung internet ko sa UAAP. I think that's a good matchup, Gab, kasi I think it's worth I'm not sure if you mentioned it, pero we would say, like we said last season, Mo Konate was probably the best FSA in season 87, diba? So I think going up against like the best FSA on your very first game is a good test for Divine Adili. How good will Divine Adili perform against Mo Konate? I think if you take a step back, look at yung matchup between Ateneo versus FEU, I think that's also probably for me one of the most interesting matchups sa opening weekend. Kasi Ateneo hasn't won against FEU since for 2 seasons, diba? In season 87, they lost both games. In season 86, they lost both games against FEU. So, how does this new look Ateneo team fare against FEU? Even though FEU has lost its main guy, main superstar in VJ Pre, I mean, they still have Mo Konate, they still have Joric Bautista, who killed Ateneo last season. They have Pasaol, who will, I'm expecting a new dance move from Pasaol kapag medyo matambakan na yung Ateneo. He's got that swag. So, how does Ateneo, fare against this new look team?
Please, Ian Espinosa, dance in Pasaol's face. If ever Ateneo wins, Please, Ian, I'm begging you, dance in his face.
He would be the perfect guy, no? Parang to dance against in front of Pasaol. Maui, anything you want to add? Or siguro maybe you can also go with your key matchup.
Yeah, I think maganda yung that the first game of Ateneo will be against FEU, and I think it's because FEU has been the kryptonite of Ateneo. Even if you look at yung start ng 5-peat, Ateneo were having such a hard time beating FEU that they barely got to the finals before winning that first championship. I think FEU has done a pretty good job against Ateneo, and I don't know if it's maybe yung recruitment nila of one of our ex-assistant coaches, but they've pretty much been Ateneo's kryptonite even during the best times. And Ateneo has been winless versus them, as you mentioned, for the past 2 seasons. I think it's something Ateneo has to get over if they want to get to the Final Four this season. And I think this is the perfect first test for Ateneo. Hindi agad UP or Lasalle because I think that's the better way. Maybe fight them in the middle of the first round. I think FEU is the best first step for Ateneo, and let's see. I also want to see how FEU will how they will distribute yung contributions of the players to cover what they lost when VJ pa decided to transfer to UP. I hopefully it won't be the Joric Bautista show because we've seen during the preseason Joric Bautista jacking up more than 20 shots, and it's gonna be interesting to see how many shots he will take, how many shots he will make, and I think generally speaking, how many players other than the usuals will contribute because they're getting some new players, they're getting some players back also from injury. I'm excited kay Kirby Mungkopa. Hopefully he's fully healthy for this season. Maybe the match I'm looking at for Ateneo and FEU is Tuano and Mungkopa off the bench. Let's see who does better. I think Tuano will go off the bench for Ateneo to provide the scoring punch, basically off the bench and carry the offense when the key guys sit down. So I think it's gonna be the same for FEU. Let's see what happens with that. I think it's gonna be important to look at yung bench scoring for this game. Will FEU run their players through the ground and play Bautista 35 to 40 minutes with Konate? And si Pasaol, it's gonna be interesting to see yung development niya from year 1 to year 2 because we were talking about a rookie point guard. I think that would be the same case for Jared Bahay, diba? It's very hard to transition as a point guard to the UAAP. So very important to see what they bring in year 2.
Any X factors that you are worth mentioning for this game before we move on to the next?
Ako, Jared Bahay. I think Maui, it's a good thing you did mention Bahay. We haven't really talked about Jared Bahay that much. I think the amount of talk that we've given to the Ateneo Blue Eagles has been focused on Kimani Ladi, Divine Adili, the improvement of Sean Tuano, of Ian Espinosa, of Kyle Gamber. We haven't talked a lot about Jared Bahay. He's been elected as the team captain along with Kimani Ladi as a second-year point guard. I think that says something of the confidence that the team has in him. From what I've heard from inside the Ateneo Blue Eagles, he's really a vocal leader and he's a recognized leader of the team. But I want to see improvement. I think he led Ateneo in scoring at around 10 points per game, or was near there. 10 points per game in last season as a rookie. Led all rookies in assists. Now, am I expecting him to explode scoring-wise this season? I'm not, because Ateneo has a ton more weapons. They have Adili, they have Ladi, they have Tuano, they have Dom Escobar. Cal Gamber is an additional shooter that's now getting playing time. So they have a ton of other scoring options. But I do expect him, one, to improve defensively. I liked what I've seen from him defensively in the preseason. Two, to distribute the basketball. I think that's mainly his role. But for number three, I do want him to shoot more, and shoot better. That was his Achilles heel in season 87. He struggled from the field. I think he was around 30% field goals or around that mark. That can't happen. I think he has to make it a point to try to get to the basket, try to develop a floater game, shoot the three better, and honestly, just be aggressive. There are times I feel like he passes up shots just because he wants to set up the offense and distribute the basketball. I'm not expecting him to score 15 plus points per game. I don't think anyone in the Tab Baldwin era has scored more than 15 points per game in the elimination round ever. It has never happened. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think si Dave was the closest. Si Dave Ildefonso. Si 30, hindi never ata umabot ng 13 or 12 points per game si 30. I don't think he was ever that. So I don't expect any big scoring from Jared, but I do expect him to be the floor general, to distribute the basketball, and essentially to be a better all-around player. Scoring opportunities are fewer, but there's a lot more way to impact the game other than scoring. So Jared Bahay for me. I think he has to have a good game. He has to have a good first impression.
Ako, I'm looking at the shooters from both teams. Outside maybe si Bautista. I want to see si Luke Felipe. He's gonna be back for FEU. I want to see Lebron Nieto and maybe si Kyle Gamber or maybe si Jaden Lazo. How he impacts the game. I think yung shooters will be a big thing for these two teams because they struggled. They've struggled mightily shooting the three. I think both teams. They lack shooting. That's something that was the case, I think, the previous season. And I think that's going to be one of the keys to success for both teams this season. If they can hit more of their three-point shots, I think that's going to be a very important thing to follow. The UAAP is usually dictated also by teams providing the best shooting. When teams shoot pretty well in the 3-point line, usually things go well. I think that's one of the main reasons why we saw a very uncommon result from UE. They were the hottest team in the first round. I think sa 3-point shooting, I could say that si Welo Lingolingo was leading the league in 3-point makes and percentage, I think, in nung first round. And I think both teams, if they want to get to the Final Four, will have to rely also on their outside shooting. It just opens up the court, the offense of any team. When you have people hitting their 3-point shots, it opens up your offense so much. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I love si Kimani Ladi. Because he can also stretch the floor for Ateneo. And that's one of the reasons why I'm a bit skeptical with FEU where they can land because they don't have a legitimate power forward that's all around. I think that's also an important thing now in the UAAP.
Okay. Sa akin, X Factor, I'm going with Ateneo. I'm going with free throw shooting for Ateneo X Factor. I think last season it was a
That's a good
major.
pick, bro. That's a good.
I think last season it was a
Santo
major
Anyo,
topic.
we're watching you, bro.
Shout out to Shanto Anyo. I think it was a major topic among Ateneans. I think we also discussed it like a couple of episodes then yun. I think they were under 60% as a team in free throw shooting, and their best free throw shooter was Sean Quiteves. That says a lot. Yung non-shooter nila, yung best free throw shooter nila. Jared Bahay, Ian Espinosa were not spared. So, that's a big question for me. I think if they shot a lot better last season, maybe they would have won like maybe 2 more games, I want to say. So, that's something I'm looking at. First game pa lang ng Ateneo. But I think Maui, you made a good point earlier. Nakalimutan ko lang din i-mention. It's good that they're going up against FEU. Nothing against FEU, but it's not a UPR Lasalle. I think last season they started out with UP. So very very difficult for Ateneo to like get a good start sa UAAP season din. So free throw shooting for me, and also just being able to match up with the top bigs of the other teams, I think. Kasi Gab mentioned Mo Konate is probably the best FSA from last season. Ateneo struggled guarding bigs, other bigs from last season. How well will Adili and Kimani Ladi perform for Ateneo? I think they're going to be a lot better than last season's bigs. No offense to Porter, like very serviceable. Saludo sa'yo, but let's see how they perform. Okay, moving on. Anyway, ang tagal natin sa first game. Halatang medyo may
Siyempre,
bias.
Ateneo yan eh.
Excited. uh, so, nawala tuloy ako. Lasalle, Adamson. Let's talk about Lasalle and Adamson. Gawin na lang natin chronological. Key matchups that you're looking at sa Lasalle versus Adamson? Maybe we can go with Maui this time.
Yeah. I think yung when you talk about Lasalle, I guess it's my bias again. Siguro yung guard matchup for kasi any Lasela led UAP team naman is usually filled with guards to surprise us, diba? They produce so many good guards. I think it's gonna be a match something to look out for yung matchup ng guards for the Lasalle Adamson game. Actually, what I'm looking at for this game is, can Adamson score enough to beat Lasalle, or score enough to be able to keep up with Lasalle? It's gonna be probably a matchup between the best offensive team and the best defensive team in the UAP, if the offseason is any indication. So it's gonna be interesting to see how many points the guards can contribute from both teams. I think it's gonna be stopping Lasalle's offense will depend on Adamson's perimeter defense, limiting yung chances ni Baclaan and ni Cortez. I think that's gonna be very important if Adamson will have a chance to keep this game close and upset Lasalle. So that's a matchup that I'm looking out for. But yeah, I don't know what to expect. Will Adamson score a lot of points during this game because of Lasalle's defense, or will Lasalle not score a lot of points because of the defense of Adamson and the fast-paced offense of Lasalle? So hopefully we get an exciting game. I think this is also a very good test when you talk about Adamson. Diba? Everyone is talking about Adamson, how Adamson could be the dark horse of this year, how Adamson could potentially not be a play-in team, could potentially get to the Final Four as a legitimate Final Four team. And I think facing Lasalle is a good barometer also for them. I think this is where we can probably get our first taste if Adamson is for real as a contending team this season. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see. Also, si Medina is a guy I'd probably say is an X factor for Adamson. I think I want to see how he performs under the bright lights against Lasalle and how he does in the UAP seniors.
Okay, before we go to you, Gab, I think sakto yung sinabi mo, Maui. I checked last season, Lasalle was the number 1 offense, Adamson was the number 1 defense in terms of points allowed. So, this is offense versus defense eh. Gab?
Ako, it's Mike Phillips versus the entire front line of the Adamson Soaring Falcons. I don't know if you guys remember, round 1, Mike Phillips destroyed this Adamson team. He did. He was so amazing against this Adamson team. And Adamson is bigger. They have Jaire Tumaneng, they have Kobe De Mesana, they have Allen Perez, all coming in as, well, Kobe De Mesana is not really a true rookie, but he is a rookie in the more common sense of the word, diba? So they have a taller front line. Si Cedric Manzano is still there. Si OJ is still there. I expect si OJ yung maging FSA and not si Alugaye. So how is Mike Phillips gonna fare against? Actually, mali. How are the other how are the 5 big men of the Adamson Falcons gonna fare against Mike Phillips?
We
So,
know how Mike Phillips is gonna fare.
yeah, so yun eh. Kasi if Mike Phillips is gonna dominate the paint, grab a ton of rebounds, get second chance points, putbacks, and just get the entire Adamson front court yung into foul trouble, I think
Maraming
spells
welcome
good.
to the UAAP moment
Oh,
ang Adamson yung bigs.
di ba? Sila Jaire, sila Allen Perez, they're gonna have their hands full against Mike Phillips. So, tama si Maui. This is offense versus defense, and if history has been any proof, mahirapan ng Adamson dito to pull off a win, in my opinion. They have not matched up well with the De La Salle Green Archers in seasons past. Last season, I think in every game tinambakan sila
They lost by
ng Lasalle.
30, I think.
Yeah, and even in the Final Four, tinambakan sila. So, it's not looking good for Adamson as a first game, but I think it all depends nga, sabi ni Maui, on the guards. Si Montebon and si Erolon have to score. They just do because they struggle on offense. And I do have to add, si Ray Allen Torres, who's coming back after a season off, is coming back and he can provide some offense. So, let's see if that combination, sina Manu Anabo, Earl Medina, Montebon, Matt Erolon, hopefully they can provide enough offense. We know what Cedric Manzano is gonna do. He's probably not gonna score a lot against likes of a Mike Phillips, but he's gonna grab rebounds, gonna be an inside presence. So, yun. Mike Phillips versus the entire front line of the Adamson Falcons. Sammy.
Since you mentioned yun na yung mga top players, maybe for me, for Adamson, it's going to be AJ Franzman that I'm looking at. We were really high on him last season. He was very impressive. If I'm not mistaken, he was the leading scorer of the team or close to that, one of the top scorers of Adamson last year. So how does he take his game to the next level this season? Can he help the offense? Kasi alam natin the defense is going to be there, but who's going to inject life into that offense? Alam natin Adamson is one of the lowest scoring teams. They're the top defensive team, but they're also one of the lowest scoring teams. So where will the offense come from for Adamson? I'm looking at AJ Franzman as one of their top offensive guys. For Lasalle, I think to match up with AJ Franzman, we talk a lot about Mike Phillips, about the two guards, Baclaan, Cortez. I'm interested to see what Mason Amos and Luis Pablo can do for this team. Those were two huge transferees from Ateneo and UP the previous season. A lot is expected from them. People really talked when they transferred. It was a big issue. So, how well will they fare this UAAP season 88? Jacob Cortez, Keen Baclan, Mike Phillips will get a lot of the touches. So, sino yung fourth guy? Like, isa lang ang bola, diba? So, not everyone will get to eat. So, sino yung fourth guy na yon for Lasalle? Maybe it would be an alternate between those two guys. So, I'm interested to see how they sort of slot in as that fourth or fifth guy for this team, for Lasalle. Any other things that you want to point out sa Lasalle Adamson?
It's good that you mentioned the other guys, Sam. And I think that is one thing I'm looking for if we want to talk about X factors for Lasalle. It's the other guys, the bench. Last season, remember, this was a topic on Boleros. Lasalle looked the best when the supporting cast was playing really well because we all knew that this was a Mike Phillips, Kevin Kiambao-led team. But if guys like VJ David, EJ Goliena, Earl Abadam, yung JC Macalalag, if they were contributing outside of the top two guys, Lasalle looked unstoppable. But of course, there were games that those guys disappeared. So I'm wondering if that's the same trend for for this season, given how stacked the top end of Lasalle is. They have now two incredible guards. They have Mason Amos. They have Mike Phillips. Do they need the same production from their bench, their other guys, their loaded wings? Diba sila Manasigan, si Abadam, si Makalalag, si Dungo. Do they need them?
Nandun pa silang lahat eh.
Yeah, they're all there. But are they needed to perform at the same level that we know they can during the big wins of Lasalle in season 87? So baka di na kailangan. Maybe we don't get much bench production from Lasalle and Lasalle just needs big games from Baclaan, Cortez, Phillips, yung Amos, and to an extent si Pablo. Baka di kailangan yung other guys. They just need them to defend and shoot threes.
Yeah.
Pero,
I was gonna say,
yun.
probably shoot threes really well kasi yung gravity will be focused on like the main guys, diba? So they're gonna get open shots.
Yep. And they have to hit them. So, from the preseason, it seems like si Coach Topex will rely solely on the hot hand. Kung sino man may hot hand, kina Makalalag, kay Abadam, Marasigan, yung Goliena, Dungo, whoever has the hot hand, I think Coach Topex will go with that guy. So it's hard to predict kung sino talaga kung sino yung fifth guy sa ending lineup ng Lasalle. In close games, you're probably gonna see si Mason, si Mike Phillips, si Cortez and Baclaan, and yung the fifth guy. Sometimes it's Manasigan, sometimes it's Abadam, Goliena, so who knows. But yun one thing that I want to watch out for, the bench production, the others production of the De La Salle Green Archers.
Okay, anything else to add, Maui, before we move on?
Yeah, double down lang on the production of the other guys. I think that will dictate talaga yung success ng Lasalle. Because we know what the others, the top guns, how top loaded Lasalle is right now versus last season when they relied so much on Kevin Kiambao and Mike Phillips. I think this season they have so much firepower that if these guys start to hit their threes, hit their free throws also, kaya kinuha si Coach Renren, I think that Lasalle is a very dangerous team. It's gonna be so much harder to stop this team when maybe 2 or 3 of those guys become very consistent, because we know that the other guys will provide what they can. Diba? Mason will always be an outside threat for Lasalle. Baclaan and Cortez, you'll have to really prepare on yung defensive schemes mo for the game. And si Mike Phillips will be all over the court, whether from drop passes, creating on his own, creating for his teammates, or from easy baskets, of steals, of rebound. So I think yung Lasalle's how Lasalle develops its core outside of those top guns will dictate how dangerous this team will look. But so far, they're looking scary.
Okay, moving on. I think the most exciting game of the opening weekend, UE versus NU. It's a big mystery. I'm
That's
interested
sarcasm,
where you
by the
guys...
way, guys. In case hindi kayo sanay kay Sam Santos, he does it a lot.
Actually, you're right, Gab. But anyway, I'm interested where you guys are going here kasi syempre veiled in mystery ang UE, the new look UE team. Gab, let's start with you. Siguro key matchups or anything you're looking forward to in this game?
Definitely the FSA matchup. Omar John coming back from a season off against Precious Momoway. I think that's pretty straightforward. This is going to be a ton of a game where you'll see a ton of usage funneled to Precious and to John Abate. And how will Omar John defend Precious Momoway? Will Precious Momoway get frustrated? Will Precious Momoway, start yapping and start getting
Will
angry
Precious
because...
Momoway get his first technical in game 1? It's also a big question.
Sino unang magkaka-technical foul? Si Precious Mamuway or si Coach Jeff Napa, yung pang nagalit na siya ulit?
Pwede.
Over-under daw ulit. Over-under. Two
Over-under.
technicals. Kay ano naman, kay Precious Momoway. Will Precious Momoway be disqualified and get to two unsportsmanlike or technical fouls this season, Gab?
I'm taking the over. I'm taking the
Taking the
over.
over, pare. I'm taking the over when it's come to Precious Mamuway. But
Teams like love to pick on Precious Momoway.
Yeah, they do because medyo teams kind of know that it's easy to frustrate Precious Mamuway, especially when
He's very passionate.
He's
Let's
very
just say
passionate
that.
and when he's not getting his way, when he's struggling, talagang umiinit ang ulo niya. So, I'm watching for that kay Precious Mamuway. And how does he get his bucket? Is he gonna go more one-on-one, just go by it himself, yung go get his buckets himself, or is someone gonna play make for him? Is he gonna roll more? Is he gonna be in the dunker spot? How is he gonna get his points? I do want to know that. On the other side, kay Omar John, he has to prove that the preseason was not a fluke. Diba? He was awesome in the preseason.
True.
He was great for majority of the preseason. So can he continue with that momentum coming into season 88? I'm expecting yung expectation ko sa kanya is dapat at least yung a double-double. Maybe around 15 points, 13 rebounds for Omar John. I think that has to be his goal. Average a double-double for this season. He can't go on yung average like what? 8.6 rebounds a game. I don't think NU's gonna go far if he does that. So I do think si Omar John has to contribute both on rebounding and on the scoring end. They need inside baskets. NU is a team that struggles offensively also. So if they get one guy like Omar John who can consistently provide inside scoring, I think that's going to be a big thing for them to get wins. So, good. Key matchup. Honestly, I don't know who else to point out in UE. Maybe I'll go there later when we go to the X Factors. Just pick anyone from UE.
Maui.
Yeah, ako I'll go again with the guards. Kasi Gab already went with the bigs. So maybe si John Abate is somebody that I will name for UE. How many points will he score? Will he be efficient? We talked about FEU kanina, and I think when we talk about FEU, we talk about Joric Bautista. I think John Abate's efficiency will probably dictate where UE come. Will Johnny Bates and Duelo Lingo-Lingo's efficiency will dictate how successful UE can be this year. If they could be more consistent, not hot and cold. If they could be more consistent game to game, I think it will. They could surprise people. But I'm not banking on it. Sadly, for NU, again, yung point guards. Diba? I think this is much like the FSA convo for NU. This has been the case. Who will get the lion's share of the minutes? We will see Tebol Garcia get more minutes than Humamoy this year.
Guards, Mami. Si Dwayne Miranda nandiyan na rin.
Yeah, si Dwayne Miranda. When you have a coach like Jeff Napa who demands perfection, I think that's why they have a lot of point guards. He wants to limit mistakes. He wants to make sure that they have as little turnovers as they can the whole game. So it's gonna be interesting to see who will rise from these point guards. I'm not sure if Steve Nash is the right point guard for you to become a championship contender. I would say that he could probably be one of the best backups, if ever, sa UAAP. But he could be one of the best backups as a championship contending team. So I'm interested to see si Humamoy and Tebol Garcia. Humamoy is in his third year. He's pretty old for a third-year player. So he has to step up if he wants to get to the pros. Tebol Garcia is a guard who has 1 year experience. So much like the other young guards, I'm interested to see if he can also be a good player in college basketball. And this is a good first game for NU. If they want to jumpstart the season nila, they should beat UE handily during this game. They were a pretty good team without an FSA last season. But with Omar John now back in the fold, the expectations are pretty high also for NU, I think. Talk about somebody probably in the hot seat. I think si Coach Jeff is probably a guy that's in the hot
You
seat.
read my mind. I was just about to find that out.
Ako din. Yun yung next point ko. But anyway, go ahead, Maui, before I go to my point.
Yeah, I think si Coach Jeff is probably in the hot seat because they have the weapons this season. Diba? Hopefully, no curse of the FSAs getting injured in game 1. I think the UAAP's new rule on 2 FSAs is it was made because of this team. How this team performed last season when they did not have an FSA option.
Good point.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how NU bounces back from almost finishing last season, and hopefully we see them be back as a Final Four team or even more.
Good point on the FSA, no? Kasi they lost Diasana on the first game last season. Hopefully that doesn't happen to NU or any team this season. I'm going back to yung na-mention mo about Coach Jeff Napa. I'm cheating here. Yung key matchup ko and X factor ko, dahil wala ko masyadong alam about UE, I'm going with Coach Chris Gavina and Coach Jeff Napa as my key matchup and Chris Gavina as my X factor. Bakit sila yung key matchup? You mentioned it, Maui. I think si Coach Jeff, if you were to look at all the coaches, other than si Coach Jack, who was really good nung first round and then bad nung second round, I think we sort of talked about Coach Jeff Napa being on the hot seat. Now that he has a new look team, how well will they perform this season? Kasi if they still don't perform with a complete lineup with Omar John, then is it goodbye, Coach Jeff Napa, next season? On the other end, we do have a first-year head coach, Chris Gavina. So literally, this is going to be his first game coaching a UAAP basketball team. So that's something that I'm looking forward to. And that could be an X factor. Malay natin, di ba? I'm not sure. Maybe Chris Gavina is the next Coach Tab Baldwin who will surprise us with an underdog team.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so. But maybe he'll surprise NU at the very least. So he could be an X factor. So I'm also looking at that matchup. Gab. X factor then after your point.
I just want to bounce off the Jeff Napa point. Ang ganda because I think we named Coach Jeff Napa as a coach on a hot seat last season. And I think he got a bit of a excuse or a pass from last season because nga nawala si Mo Diasana. Oh, and he wasn't able to perform. I mean, kudos to him and his NU team last season despite having no
Hindi
FSA.
sila last.
No, they weren't last and they beat Lasalle and they beat UP at the end of the second round. So I think he was able to keep his job safe for that. But now, sabi nga ni Maui, they have all the weapons. They have a deep roster. They have a really deep roster. We just talk about the point guards that they have 5. I don't know if si Jed Locsin will make the lineup. I hope he does. But he's the 5th point guard. They have the 3 plus Dwayne Miranda and Jed Locsin. 5 point guards. They have a ton of wings. Siguro yung front court nila, yung mas shallow, yung maybe because nawala si Palangka, but they still have si Persiano, still have si Jedrick Solomon, PJ Palacelo, Kenshin Padrones, yung Moon de la Cruz. They're a really, really deep team. But if they can't get past the Final Four, medyo mag-isip-isip na ang NU management. Maybe time to find yung another guy to get the most out of this roster. Kasi yung tama si Maui, I think si Maui, you mentioned this a few episodes back, hindi na Final Four yung barometer of success for NU. It's finals eh. Because we've seen them make the 3rd seed already. We've seen them...
Natikman na kasi.
Oh. So, alam natin na kaya ng version ng NU na to na makaabot ng Final Four. But can they make it to the finals? Can they win a championship? They have a very talented roster. So, ako, yung tama-tama yun. But ako, yung X Factor, hindi ko naman i-overshadow ang UE. Pero I'm looking for anyone in UE to surprise. Just give me someone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's this
The
guy
land of opportunity.
Land of opportunity. Yeah. Remember
May mga
remember
Phil
si
Force
Gerard
din
Wilson?
silang
'Di ba season
na-recruit. Yeah.
86?
Mhm.
He surprised before he got injured, yung by a shoulder injury. He was out by yung with a shoulder injury. So is this guy si Draco Willie? Can he contribute? Yung isa pang Phil-Am nila si Mark Taniedo, the guy who was starting a tower forward for them in the preseason, si Mark Cabero, maybe he can contribute. Mark Rosete, I think he's been in behind the bench for the past couple of seasons already. So he's a big guy. Maybe he can provide some contribution, some points. I don't know. Just give me someone. Maybe si Cole Cruz Dumont.
Another Cruz Dumont.
Another Cruz Dumont. I think si Hunter is not on the team anymore. But yeah, si Cole is still there. Maybe he has upside. Maybe he can contribute. Diba? So, I'm looking for anyone. A sign of hope. I'm betting on Nur Tatumalim. Mark my words. I think I mentioned him in the power rankings. I think he can be a weapon for this UE team. So,
Basta may lim, magaling.
so I'm just looking for a sign of hope from anyone on UE aside from the four guys yung that we know, si Balintapang, Abate, Lingo, and Momoe. Just give me someone else. Go.
Maui, X Factor before we move on. Nakamute ka, Maui, by the way.
Sorry. Yeah, it's pretty hard to pick sa UE. Gab mentioned so many names. And maybe half of those people I don't know. And I think it's a byproduct of their program so far. But land of opportunity, as we mentioned, diba? Maybe we see a name rise from the ashes and just surprise us. But I would say talagang si John Abate talaga eh. Diba? If he can score 30 points, maybe they could upset NU. Who knows?
Scoring
There's a game he hit
champ.
more than 6 3-pointers, diba? Hope if he gets hot, pretty hot, maybe he can score 30 for UE and Momoe 20. Maybe they could get to 70 points and beat NU. Diba? You don't have to pretty much score a lot of points to beat a team like NU because they thrive also on their defense. They want to keep the score low. For NU, I think si Jolo Manansala has to be mentioned as an X factor. I think he has to have
Jolo
a big year.
Manansala's biggest fan is Maui. He always mentions Jolo Manansala.
Jolo Manansala has to have a big year if he wants to go places. He wants to go pro. I think starting off the season pretty well is a good barometer of where you can be during the season. And they always talk about Figueroa, but Manansala has been that second guy for him. Maybe he could surprise us and become deadly this season. 2 bank 3-point shots maybe this game, I don't know. But let's see with Manansala. I'm pretty high as Gab mentioned, and I think he has to have a big game. He has to start the season off pretty well so he can get the momentum and jumpstart his potentially pro career.
Okay, last but definitely not the least, the defending champs, the UP Fighting Maroons versus the host for season 88, the home team for this weekend, the UST Growling Tigers minus Fortsky Padrigao. Sino ang magiging key matchup mo sa final game of opening weekend? Gab, naka-yellow ka.
Yeah, it's Nick Cabanero versus the plethora of wing defenders that they have against him. It's probably they're gonna start off with Harold Alarcon on him, then it's gonna turn into Raylan Torres. I think Jerry is a bit too small yung for Nick Cabanero. I think Nick Cabanero is gonna bully Jerry. Si Jerry is probably gonna match up with like Kyle Paranada or someone like that. Yeah. So the best guard, not Nick. I don't think Jerry's a good matchup for Nick Cabanero. I think si Raylan Torres and si Harold Alarcon are gonna be the primary defenders on Nick Cabanero, and probably if they have difficulty, you'll see someone like Jacob Baila.
Baila. The KQ stopper.
The KQ stopper for one game. So that's a key matchup for me because Nick is a matchup problem. I think I've said this since last season when I saw him play live. This guy is huge. It's a matchup problem for any perimeter player because he's so damn strong.
Big
And
boy.
I expect with Forsky not in the lineup, a lot of usage is gonna go to Nick. I think it's gonna you get the ball majority of the possessions, and let's see who UP matches up with him. Is it gonna? Sabi ko nga, I think it's gonna start with Harold, but eventually they're gonna put si Raylan Torres, who's been kind of I don't want to say a thorn, pero an irritant. To Nick Cabanero. I do recall in the preseason game that they had, he was bumping Nick Cabanero during dead ball yung possessions. So he's gonna do that. That's Raylan Torres, no? So how is UP gonna limit Nick Cabanero? Because sabi ko nga, a ton of offense is gonna go through Nick with Forsky not there. As for X Factor, definitely for UST, Gigelo Crisostomo. And to an extent, si Mark Clement. Because without Forsky, a lot more offense is going to open up. So those two guys, they impressed me in the preseason with their developments, especially on the offensive end. Are they going to score enough points? Is Jello going to hit threes? Those wing and corner threes that that he always gets. Is he gonna score as much as he did in the preseason? Is he gonna get around 50 to 20 points? Si Mark Clement, is he gonna score 10 plus points? They're gonna need more offense, diba? And they love offense. That's their MO now. They're gonna run, shoot a ton, and hope that they outscore their opponents. That ala the old school Phoenix Suns, diba? So on UP's part, I'm definitely looking at Harold Alarcon and Noire Mogat because let's just say a bit underwhelming preseason for the both of them. You know, it's been, I think we mentioned this before, Jerry Abadiano has stepped up for the majority of the preseason as their alpha, as their main scoring option. We did not expect that. We expected one of Harold and or Noire Mogat to actually take the reins and become the main ball handler, main scoring option of this team. Hasn't really materialized. Are we finally gonna see the old school Noire Mogat from season 86 come out of his shell and just explode? You know? Are we gonna see Harold Alarcon finally, as in have a good game at least, diba? So
consistent.
Yeah, have some consistency. So I'm watching those two guys. It's been I wouldn't say a trend for UP, but it's been more often that their starting lineup struggles, and then si Coach Gold just mixes up a ton of his bench guys just to find an answer, because sometimes they really struggle with those starts. They start really bad for a ton of games. So let's see if the first five, the guys like Remogat and Alarcon, can pick up the slack, especially to start this game. Maui,
key matchup.
Ako, I'll be looking at two key matchups. I'll be looking at yung big man. Coincidentally, alternate kami ni Gab on the matchups. And I think I'm looking at yung matchups ng UST and UP sa front court because I think it will dictate yung success nila this season for both teams. I think very important to see how Colin Sacoya will adjust. He's looked pretty good sa preseason, racking up rebounds and points, but a bit playing in a fast system. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he does, how his conditioning fares in the UAAP setting. It's different. The season is a completely different jungle versus the off-season. And I think this is going to be his welcome to the UAAP moment, yung opening game. Will he be able to play close to 30 minutes? Kaya ba ng conditioning niya? Will he be able to match up pretty well with sila Gary Stevens, Sean Alter for UP. Actually, I'm pretty surprised with UP, maybe because of the surprise they did to us with UMB last season. At the last minute, I was still expecting na biglang merong another big man that they recruit at the last minute. But I think they've seen that Gani Stevens has been pretty amazing during the off season, and I think finally they are trusting this core, sila Gani Stevens and Sean Alter, and I want to see how they do when they get more consistent minutes. Francis Noruka is another guy I will be looking at, maybe my X factor for UP. Will he be stable or will he be all over the place? I think that's why Gani Stevens gets more minutes kasi mas stable ang production ni, and you can rely yung sa stability ni Gani Stevens. But Noruka is so explosive that he could probably win a game for UP, one of these games. So that's a matchup I'll be looking at. Maybe yung FSA are my X factors also. I would say si Colin Sakowe will be a big somebody that they need to produce on both ends of the floor, especially maybe on defense when they struggle. Will a rookie big man, a bit an FSA, be able to anchor a defense? Because I think yung offense na USC is covered, they could score a ton of points. But can they limit their opponents to win games, to win the close games, to win the games that matter? And I think si Collins Akowe is somebody that they will have to see in progress throughout the season. And it will be interesting to see. It's gonna be his debut game for Akowe and Noruka. So let's see. These two FSAs are the ones that are being highlighted, di ba, sa preseason, pretty much. So will they be legitimate FSAs in the UAAP?
Yep, I agree. I agree with your pick. For key matchup, I also had the bigs. Specifically, si Collins Akowe versus the bigs of UP. Agree with everything you said. I think it's interesting kasi si Collins Akowe came in late for UST. Si Peter Osang yung napanood natin for almost the entire preseason. Bandang dulo na lang naglaro si Akowe. So we didn't get to see a lot of Collins Akowe during the preseason. How well will he fare against other UAAP teams during the season? Malas lang ni Collins Akowe because he's starting out with UP as his first game. So marami nga siyang magiging welcome to the UAAP moment. He's going up against a three-headed beast in Noruka, Stevens, and si halimutan ko na tuloy yung third big nila. Sean Alter. I think si Noruka, if you look at the Phil Oil stats, led the team in points, rebounds, and blocks. So that's going to be very difficult for Akowe.
And si Seven Gagate. Oh wait, he left.
Na-distract tuloy ako.
Muntik na ako magkamali. Muntik ako masabi.
Napaisip din ako eh. Parang, did I forget someone? So yeah, that's going to be tough for
Because
Akowe.
it's always been those three, di ba? Whenever we mention the UP centers, always si Stevens, si Alter, si Gagate.
And then si Gagate.
So I just wanted to put it.
Shout
si
out
Gagate.
to Seven Gagate. Yun. So, yun yung matchup ko. For UST, I think Akowe is also my X factor. Another team that needs a big man and needs help in the rebounding department, UST. On the UP side, I think Gab mentioned yung X factor ko. I think it's Jacob Baila. I think for me, si Coach Bo has talked a lot about the Maroon 5, yung 5 seniors niya na mga NU kids. But for me, I'm looking at like the future. Obviously, meron ka ng mga established superstars for next year, like guys like Ray Remogat. But I'm looking at the young guys. And for me, the best young guy that they have right now so far is Jacob Baila. He could be the future face of UP and the future of Gilas. So that's why I'm really looking forward to how this guy will play this season. I hope he improves from last season. One of the bright spots dun sa mga hyped rookies from last season, Jacob Baila. I'm rooting for this guy. So I think for me, X factor siya. Not just for the opening day game, but also for the rest of the season. Gab.
Actually, I'm changing my pick. I think you've convinced me. I think the X factor is Colin Sakawe because if they want to win this game, Colin Sakawe can't be in foul trouble because kakainin sila ng
Yeah.
buhay ng
Good
front
point.
line ng UP.
True. Good point.
Because their backup is Echo Laure and Koji Benaflor. And
Koji
Benaflor
Benaflor,
is
yeah.
slim.
Is a stick.
Echo Laure is, well, is slimmer, but he's shorter than the rest of the front line of the UP Fighting Maroons. So for me, yeah, I think the biggest X factor here for the USC Guardian Tigers is Colin Sakawe. He has to stay on the floor. I mean, he cannot be
That's
out, or he can't be on the bench because UP's big. I just mentioned their multitude of centers. You haven't even mentioned Mark Belmonte, si Miguel Iniguez, si L.A. Andres. Did he make the lineup? I think he did. No, si Miguel Palanca. So they're huge. UST is not. So give me Colin Sakawe. I think he's a big X factor.
And
I think
yung
also
tatlong
for all other games, I think he has to stay on the floor.
True. Yun exactly. And yung tatlong centers ng UP could be you could say some of them could be starters in other teams. All three of them could be starters in other
All
teams. So,
three of them.
all three of them could be starters on other teams. So they're that deep. So yeah, I think that's it for our UAAP opening weekend preview. Tatlong araw na lang, guys. UAAP na ulit. So we'll see you there. We'll be there definitely on Saturday. So if you are going to watch the games, don't be afraid to say hi. Comment down below your UAAP preview hot takes for this opening weekend. Let's go UAAP season 88. Like, share, subscribe. Bye-bye.
Let's go with the now.